What is going on YouTube? Joe here with Culination Media, bringing you yet another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle. It's going to be an underused battle today against Gregory, and I got this battle off of Twitter a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to put his link in the description below in case you guys want to battle him or whatever. But yeah, before we get into the teams, because I have some explaining to do, just want to remind you guys that as long as this video reaches 50 likes, we're going to continue those double daily Wi-Fi uploads for you guys, the 1 6v6 like this one, and then the one Battle Spot Live. But yeah, that is that. Now, the first thing you're probably going to notice is that this is supposed to be an underused battle, and he's bringing Mandibuzz, which is, you know, extremely OU. Well, what happened was that he was just looking at the black and white tier list from, or not from anything, but from last gen, basically. Black and White 2, Mandibuzz was indeed NU, so that was a hiccup on his part. He did apologize for it. He didn't do it on purpose. He's not being a dick or anything like that. It was an honest mistake, and it didn't really affect this battle at all, so I'm not too worried about it, and nobody else should be either. It was still a fun, entertaining battle because we had some interesting Pokemon going on here. On his side, he's got the Tangrowth, Seismitoad, Sigilyph. Already mentioned the Mandibuzz, and then he's got Ampharos, which is not a Mega, and then Electros. On my side, I've got Rotom-Mow, Steelix, Cryogonal, Kabutops, Delphox, and Hitmonlee. Some of these I've used on Battle Spot, so you've seen them already, and some of the other ones, I guess you're going to figure out what they do, because I don't think I've used any of them in battle so far. So Gregory's issuing a challenge. I'm going to start off with Rotom because that is the easiest lead for me. He's going to start off with Electros. Of course, I'm running that Choice Scarf, so I'm just going to Volt Switch out here. It's not really going to do any damage because it is a resisted hit, but judging from that damage, I'm going to say that he's not Assault Vest. That did more than I thought it would. If he was Assault Vest and it's resisted, it would do almost no damage. So he does go for the Flamethrower because it would be super effective, so Wandissimo takes that very nicely. He is going to switch out, so he might be choiced in some way. Not positive yet. But out comes that shiny Mandibuzz. And I'm going to go for the Fire Blast on the switch, but it misses, and that is unfortunate. I'm going to switch out here because I do not want to have to take a knockoff. That would be really bad. Really, really bad. So I'm going to go into Steelix, and he's going to taunt me, so that means no Stealth Rocks. I do carry the Dragon Tail on this thing, though. So I'm not too worried. I can definitely just phase this thing out, and that's what I do. Get rid of the Mandibuzz after he goes for that Foul Play, which doesn't really do any damage because I am not invested. So out comes the Ampharos, which is great, only that it's holding an air balloon, which is actually a pretty cool item for Ampharos to be holding. Get my lefties recovery and all that stuff. I do carry the Earthquake, but that's not going to do me too much good, so I'm just going to Dragon Tail, because that's the only thing I can do. As he goes with a Cotton Guard, that is very, very scary. He's going to be almost impossible to break on the physical side if he starts getting up those, whatchamacallits, those Cotton Guards. He does get the Static here on the first contact move, which is unfortunate. I do pop the, whatchamacallit, Air Balloon. I don't know why I can't think of words today. Out comes the Mandibuzz yet again, and I really can't do anything to this, and being paralyzed doesn't help me out too much, because I tend to get paralyzed and not able to move a lot. Like, it just happens all the time to me, I don't know why. But I'm going to switch out here, back into my Choice Scarf Rotom as he goes for the Foul Play. That shouldn't do too much damage, my attack stat isn't very high, I'm uninvested. It does about like 30%, and I went for the Leaf Storm here. I really thought he was going to switch to not take the electric type move that was going to be coming, but he decides to go for Defog, and I'm not sure why. He did mention that he felt kind of bad about bringing the Mandibuzz after he figured out that it was not underused and that he was trying to sack it, kind of, so that may have been what he was trying to do there. I don't really know, or it could have been a misclick. But anyway, I'm going back into Steelix. He's going into his Electros, and I'm going to get back up to full health here because of my lefties recovery, which is great. And unfortunately, he does have the Flamethrower. I did see that already, but I don't want to risk switching into Delphox again. The most important thing for me right now is to get up those rocks, because I need to get some damage on his incoming Mandibuzz, because I'm just not going to be able to kill it if I don't do that. So I know he has the Defog, but that's just what I wanted to do. So instead of just letting Steelix die, I'm going to switch into Wandissimo, predicting yet another Flamethrower, either because he's choiced or just because that's the only damage, or the only move that he can inflict damage on Steelix. So I'm going to go for the Fire Blast on the next turn, which hits this time. This is a Choice Specs Delphox, by the way. That's generally what I run. That just absolutely destroys his Electros. So out comes Seismitoad now, which is a good switch for him. I can't really do anything to this thing with my Fire Blast being the move that I'm locked into, so I'm going to have to switch out again. And I'm going to switch into Steelix because I don't need it at this point, and that's kind of the main reason why I switched it out in the first place, was just basically to have it be a death fodder. He goes for the Rock Slide instead of the Earthquake. Earthquake would have killed me, but I don't know, he could have been predicting something else to switch in. The switch was obvious, I think, but regardless, that's what he goes for, and that does not kill the Steelix because my defense is just way too high, and it's a resisted hit. He does go for the Earthquake on the next turn, so that's going to finish me off, which is fine. Like I said, Steelix did what he was supposed to do, basically. He didn't get rid of the Ampharos, and that is unfortunate, but we did pop the Air Balloon. I guess that's something to be okay with, but I'm going to bring Delphox back in to go for the Grass Knot, and I really thought he was going to predict that because the way I brought it back in like that, it just seemed pretty obvious that I was choiced and had a different move for him, but maybe he just didn't know that Delphox got Grass Knot. There's a lot of possibilities there. Maybe he didn't want to risk something else taking a huge hit, which is also possible and not a bad play. As he goes into his Sigilyph here, and he's going to start building up those cosmic powers, and waiting for the Flame Orb, and I don't know if I saw the Flame Orb, honestly. Anyway, I go for the trick, and oh, the Mind Play, that's what he has. Okay, I was like, what is going on here? Normally they carry the Flame Orb, but he's just going to continue to go for those Cosmic Powers now that he's locked into it via Choice Scarf. So that thing is pretty much crippled, especially if its only attacking move is stored power. That thing is just screwed. I have a Mind Plate, which does absolutely nothing, but I can switch moves now, so that is cool. And I am going to go for the Volt Switch. The Ampharos does come in, so he takes that very, very nicely. I am slowly but surely wearing this thing down with just little residual damage. Or just not really residual damage, but just little hits. Now, in comes the Wandissimo yet again to go for the Fire Blast, and that kills off this Ampharos. So, Wandissimo definitely putting in some work here, and getting some kills. So, I mean, the Choice Specs Fire Blast coming off of, like, what is it, 110, 115 base special attack? Something like that. Is nothing to laugh at, especially in lower tiers. So I'm going to switch into my Cryogonal here as the Sigilyph comes back in to go for the stored power. I'm pretty sure that's his only attacking move. That does absolutely nothing. He is locked into it via Choice Scarf, so I can just basically do whatever I want. And this is mainly a defensive kind of utility-ish set. It has the Rapid Spin, it has Haze, it has Recover, and it has Ice Beam. I guess I could be running Freeze Dry on it to give myself a little bit better coverage for the water types that like to switch into Cryogonal, but I just haven't gotten around to doing that. So Ice Beam is okay for now. And like I said, he has nothing else that he can do but go for Stored Power, which only has a base power of 20 if it's not boosted by other moves, because I think it just increases by 20 for each stat you've increased. So, thus the Cosmic Power generally running on this set. Anyway, Sigilyph goes down, out comes the Tangrowth, and Cryogonal can actually take on Tangrowth pretty well, as long as this thing isn't carrying Power Whip and it has Giga Drain instead. I know I outspeed it though, so I might as well just go for the Ice Beam. Tangrowth does have really bad special defense. He barely survives with like 5 HP or less, goes for the Leech Seed. And that is an interesting play, but not bad at all. It's going to force me to switch out at some point, or just have him continue to get his health back. He is going to withdraw here, instead of letting his Tangrowth get killed off, because it does have the Regenerator, so that will be working in his favor. Out comes the Mandibuzz. He's going to take a lot of damage from the Stealth Rocks, and he's going to have to take an Ice Beam to the face. And yeah, that's not going to feel so good. He does live it because he's a Mandibuzz, and he lives everything. But even with the Leech Seed recovery, I don't think he's going to be able to live another one, so there's no point in me switching out to get rid of the Leech Seed at this point. I might as well just stay in and have Cryogonal kill off the Mandibuzz. That is a huge threat out of the way, and the Stealth Rocks did help, so I'm very glad that I basically sacked off my Steelix just to get the Stealth Rocks up, because without that, I would have had a really hard time killing it. So, out comes the Tangrowth now, and I'm just going to Ice Beam it, and this is the last Pokemon, so that is going to be the match. So it ended up being like a 4-0, I think. Not even really keeping track. But when I look at battles and how good they are, it's just, for me, it's not like, well, what was the score? Was it a 6-0? Was it a 5-0? Was it a 1-0? And, you know, that doesn't really matter to me. I just like to see some interesting Pokemon. I like to see interesting sets. I like to see some interesting plays. And, you know, if my opponent gets 6-0'd or I get 6-0'd and it ends up just, you know, having some interesting Pokemon in it, I feel like that's a good battle. And it's something different, you know, it's something that's entertaining. So, I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. I know everybody doesn't agree with that, but that is just my thing. So, I don't even really care what the score is. To be perfectly honest, I want to thank Gregory for the match. It was a lot of fun to see these Pokemon in action. And I battled them again, like, yesterday. Something like that. And that was a good battle as well. We did a higher tier match. So I'll be posting that as well later, maybe. Maybe towards the end of the week or over the weekend or something. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So thank you again for the match. We will do it again sometime. We'll do like another underused battle. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, as always. And do not forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, because as long as we get to that 50 mark, we're going to keep up those double daily Wi-Fi uploads that you guys seem to be enjoying. So, yeah, that is that. And I'll see you guys for the next battle. But until then, game on.